Hey guys, it's the middle of June. Me and the boys are out here in the garden. Carter's on my back. Say hi, Carter. And Cooper's over here working in the dirt.
Hi.
The garden is going crazy, and we are really excited to show you guys all of the new stuff that we have. The little bitty sprouts that we had in our last video are massive, like all of them, except for our tomatoes. But I'll get into that. Let's just go walk around and see what we got. So over here at the entrance, our peas didn't get quite as tall as I thought they would, but they're really bushy and thick, probably because my kids keep breaking them off really low. But they're producing plenty. The kids, they come out here and they just pluck peas off. Carter's got one right now. If you get a bitter one. Oh, going back for more. But they'll just eat these peas all day long. It's a super easy snack. I don't have to prepare anything for them. Get the gate because the sheep are out and they will destroy them. But then around the base, there's a lot of red clover. There's some turnips. Turnips kind of grew all over our garden this year. I'm not really sure where the seeds came from, if they were maybe in a mix that we used, but they're everywhere. I'm going to turn you guys around to show you. There's a turnip. There's a turnip. There's some more turnips. And then all throughout there, these leaves right here, this is red clover, which some people see it as a weed, but it's super medicinal. Plenty right there. So it's a good weed to me. I'm going to keep it around. We're just going to pick some seeds while we're out here. Oh, for me? Thank you. You're so sweet. Oh, you got one for you too? Yummy. Something that you're going to notice when we start walking around, pretty much all of our garden beds are chaos. As you can see back here, everything, it looks really overgrown, but the way that we see it, we can either cover the ground with things that we want, or nature's going to cover the ground with things that it wants. So we just kind of leave the weeds that we like, we pull the weeds that we don't like, and then sprinkle some seeds in there, and occasionally put in a little sprout that I've sprouted from a seed. But we'll go ahead and start with this bed right here. I'm going to turn you guys around again. All right, and over in this bed, Cooper's back there mowing. Thanks for your help, bud. We have all kinds of chaos. There's quite a few pepper plants in here. One there. There's one with flowers all over it here. And then there's a couple, if I can find them. One right here with, for its variety, a pretty large fruit. These are tiny little snackabells, so they'll only get probably about that long, and they'll start to change colors. I think it's kind of a rainbow of colors. We've got some zinnia, volunteers from last year coming up, calendula. It's still pretty early, so a lot of them aren't open yet. The zinnia, I'm really excited. Hopefully we get like some purples and pinks. Last year they were mostly yellow, so we'll see. And then the most vibrant color, calendula. They are so pretty. And this is a mix too. I've gotten some white, some pink, some yellow. All three of these are orange. There's zinnias all throughout. Back here, this one's calendula, but this one is a zinnia. There's a big rose bush that randomly came up right here. Of vining up these, but it's really pretty, so I'm leaving it. And then we have stuff like clover and chickweed and cleavers, and I think there's some carrots in here. We've got these sunflowers. I don't remember planting these, but they look like the chocolate cherry ones that I planted last year, which are like a beautiful, beautiful purple color. Then there's a sunflower back here. I gave the kids a bag of sunflower seeds and told them to just have at it. So there's a lot of yellow sunflowers just popping up all over the place. More zinnias over here. Lots of red clover kind of taken over this area. We've got begonias down here, which are edible. They actually taste pretty good. The kids like to come out and snack on them. Cleavers, some people call it sticky weed. There's some rose moss. I'll have to get a video here in a bit when they open. They're just the prettiest little flowers. We have another one down here with a lot of flowers. They're starting to open. They open up during the daytime and then they kind of die off, and usually we'll pick that off. We also have some plantain. This is narrowleaf plantain. We also have broadleaf actually in this bed. This is a broadleaf plantain. We have a lot of that everywhere, which is great because we also have a lot of bees everywhere. And if you get stung, which my kids are always running around barefoot, so inevitably it's going to happen, they can put that on there, just kind of mash up the leaf, and it makes it not sting so bad. And then we have some more little bitty zinnias. I think this might be a balloon flower that I planted a while back. I kind of thought it died, so I'm excited to see that. And then carrots everywhere. They're starting to get pretty big. They might be ready to go soon. You're doing a really good job, bud. Yeah. Good job keeping your feet away from it, too. Here's another pepper bed over here. So still, that's what this is right here. If you don't know, it will spread like crazy, and the seeds are teeny tiny, so those seeds, if it goes to seed, will spread like crazy. This is a pepper bed. You can see there's quite a few peppers in this bed, so I guess the dill is probably helping, not hurting. There's some salvia we put in here for the pollinators, flowers back here for the pollinators. We have peppers all around. And almost all of these were started from seed by me, except for this one. This is a banana pepper. That one might be ready. I like to wait until they turn red. They're really good like that. That's close enough, Bubba. Over here in the corner, there's some lavender. More in that corner. Mysterium, which are also edible. And then this was stevia. There's a little bit left, but the kids really like it, and they kind of picked it down to the woody part. So it'll probably come back. It'll be fine, but the kids are going to have to back off of it. Over here we have our elderberry row. So, fun fact, I actually cut all the grass around this with a pair of scissors, and you can see my hand, it kind of wore a hole in my fingers. So I won't be doing that again, but I kind of gave it a little bit of air, and they're looking a lot better. They were really starting to die off down at the bottom. So those are coming back, and since Liberty's in here, the deer haven't been eating it, which is also helping. Over here, this is a watermelon bed that we put clover in, and I honestly love it. I'm going to do this in every bed that I possibly can. But there's watermelon. See, this one's flowering. It's kind of growing throughout the clover, and it's doing really well like this. We've got some sunflowers. Oh, that watermelon is climbing the sunflowers. That'll be cool to watch. There's some coxcomb flowers in here for the pollinators. And then this clover mix had a pollinator butterfly mix of seeds in it too. Oh, there's some really pretty flowers over here. Not sure what this is. I'm sure it's probably medicinal. Medicinal or poisonous, but it's really pretty. And then the kids' sunflowers are everywhere. Another example of that, there's sunflowers all over here. I think Carter just kind of was throwing them in this direction. And these watermelon, these were not doing too hot. I made this mound, I planted them, and then I forgot to throw out the clover or the butterfly mix. So it got a little crispy, but we put the clover mix out and it's starting to sprout up. So that'll help quite a bit whenever that gets going. Over here, I walked around the corner and saw this morning and took my breath away. Look at these sunflowers. These I actually did plant. These are the chocolate cherry, the real dark purple, and I think there's some evening sun, which are a combination of purple and yellow. And then these back here are just the black oil sunflower seeds. We'll use that to feed the chickens. And watermelon up here. Ground cherry, that's a volunteer. We've got volunteer ground cherries all over. This is a watermelon. This is a watermelon. This one, this is I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's a Charentaise melon. Um, Kind of similar to a cantaloupe, it seems like. I don't know. I've never had one, so I'm really excited to see it doing so well. This is awesome. Here's our outdoor shower. I do need to put like some lattice or something up a little bit to make it a little bit more private, but I planted all these sunflowers around it. Again, just the black oil sunflowers. Really excited to see those kind of sprout up. They're really close together, so they're a lot smaller, but we'll see. It'll probably be really pretty. Our little orchard over here is honestly not doing fantastic. Our little saplings are doing okay. We've got a mulberry here, a mulberry right over there. Um, there's some apples over there, plums. They're not doing too bad, but this peach tree is still not giving us fruit. We have fertilized it. We have planted beans by it. It's just not doing great. And then this peach is something that we cut down. If you see my video before, it was just kind of little nubs. And then that one, that's a pear, I think, apple, something. It was literally just a stump, pretty much. So they're doing a lot better in comparison to that. Under the trees, we just kind of have a lot more chaos. There's some comfrey here that I got from a friend. I actually traded a tomato plant, and oh my goodness, it's doing so good. And then I actually forgot about these until just this minute. These are some massive pumpkin seeds that I got from a seed swap. And there's some beans under here. Cilantro. We have cilantro growing all over the place. There's some cress. I know this area back here behind me kind of just looks like we're not taking care of it, and I guess, I mean, that is true. We're not doing anything to it. But not just because we're lazy. We have a lot of native grasses and flowers and milkweed and just a lot of great weeds that we want to keep. And they're really great for the pollinators, if not something that we also want to harvest. So we're keeping it along. And then in the fall, we do bring in all of our animals. We'll go through and pull any plants that are poisonous to our animals, and then we just let them come in here and they clean it up. And this year we have pigs, so I'm really excited to see how well the pigs do in here. I'm hoping they'll kind of help us get some of the thick crabgrass and stuff like that under control. And we're just going to buy a bunch of clover and wildflower seeds and all kinds of stuff like that, and then lay that down where the pigs kind of till up the ground for us. So it's a long-term project. We're playing the long game here, but it's going to pay off so much in the long run. So we have some little trails kind of mowed around here so that we can still walk through comfortably, but we're still keeping stuff like clover. There's some white clover over here. Sweetgrass, that's what this is. Cooper, one of his favorite plants, he'll come out here and just little hillbilly pop it in his mouth. We've got a whole bunch of mint. So this was half mint. We had 5 mint varieties, and then this half was actually sage, and we had 3 or 4 sage varieties. We put them in the same bed to kind of gladiator battle, and the mint clearly won. There's some little ladybugs in there too. Around this path, we've got some buckwheat. There's a few different pollinator cover crop type seed mixes that we threw out. There's a little plum tree and more potatoes. I actually kind of forget about this potato bed. We have so many potatoes, I just can't even keep track. Go through this little aisle, more potatoes, and there's peas growing around this half. This is probably about an 8-foot tall trellis. We've got peas on this half, and then there's some beans that we planted not too long ago that are really loving this area. Sunflowers everywhere. Looks like the boys wanted them over here. Ooh, look at that dandelion. That is a healthy dandelion. More turnips. I'm telling you guys, there are turnips all over this garden. And then I put my spicy peppers over here. My theory was that it might not cross-pollinate. And again, I did more dill. But the spicy peppers were really struggling. I think these are all cayenne. They were really struggling, but they're starting to come back. And then over here, I've got some opal basil and some little eggplant. I honestly don't even really know what to do with eggplant. I just got some seeds for free, so I figured I'd try them. So if you want to drop any eggplant recipes in the comments, feel free to do that. Over here, this is, again, chaotic. But there is basil. There's a lot of this grass that I want to get rid of. Potatoes. There's actually a lot of potatoes. We have, I don't know, probably about 80 feet, maybe closer to 70 feet of potatoes, 4 rows like that. And some of them did get shaded out by this thick grass. Something I really want the pigs to help us with this fall. Over here we have our little, I don't know, shed, if you want to call it that. We keep our tiller, weed eater. We have a little push mower that honestly we haven't used a whole lot. And then the string trimmer. That one got me good. The one you were using? You were doing really good with that, huh? Yeah. But over here we have some loofah. Quite a bit of loofah. There's one right here. They're climbing up these poles just like I wanted, perfectly. Lots of sunflowers. Oh, this loofah. This one actually grew through here and it attached itself to the tiller, so I had to pry it off and then kind of try to put it over here. Show you guys, it looks like it's climbing up the inside of the pole. So what I've been doing is just, I have this tarp on here and it's just tied on with strings. So I'm just kind of moving it up as the loofah grows. And eventually the loofah should ideally take over, so we don't need the tarp. Another one. This one's a little more bushy. It's been broken quite a few times. More of those random sunflowers. There's some hollyhocks down here. I put another hollyhock over here. I did not realize at the time that I started them from seed this winter that they don't flower typically until the second year. So I'm not expecting flowers from it this year, but the leaves are fairly pretty, even kind of eaten up by pests. Then our echinacea patch, kind of echinacea and sweetgrass, and a little bit of wild lettuce over there. But they're starting to flower, and the butterflies absolutely love these. Last year, whenever we would water it, spray the water, and the butterflies just kind of came up like a fog. It was really cool. Another big change that we've made around the farm is Liberty, our original livestock guardian when we moved here. Kind of my right-hand girl. She got retired out to the garden. She did such a good job training our new livestock guardian, Pretty. She's still not fully trained, but for the most part, she's really good with the goats and the sheep. We're just kind of working on chickens. But Liberty helps with raccoons, possum, moles. She killed a mole yesterday. She's really great. She keeps the deer out, the birds even. So she's really great to have in the garden, and she's enjoying the nice cushy life of hanging out with her people all day long because we're always out here in the garden, and she loves her people. So this spot I actually tilled up for butternut squash, but it stays shaded longer than a majority of the garden out here. Go, let me see. But Liberty kind of dug this up and used it as a bed. The bare dirt keeps her cooler, so I just leave it, and then the boys do their own little mud runs through it every day too. So it is what it is. It's a sacrifice we had to make for Liberty to protect the garden, I guess. So this bed back here is actually not as successful as I had hoped. I tried to make an okra bed, and quite a few of them did sprout. I think we had about 8 that sprouted, and we're doing pretty good. Got their first set of leaves, and we had a couple real chilly nights, so I'm wondering if maybe that just took them out because they do like heat. Um, but I was kind of bummed about that because the okra, raw okra, is supposed to be good to help with mold toxicity. And if you saw my last update video, I talked about how we lost our house to mold, and it's actually been a year since we found the mold and had to evacuate and everything. So we're all kind of struggling from the mold toxicity symptoms still. So the okra would have really helped. I'm kind of hoping to still maybe get some started plants, or possibly start some more from seed. I don't know if I have time. If you have any opinions on that, go ahead and put those in the comments. I'd love to hear you guys' advice. This is probably our healthiest okra plant in here, and as you can see, it's not great. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and fall right off. So, I mean, it does have some new growth. I hope it still pulls through. Those 2 leaves on there look pretty decent, so hopefully. And there's lots of red clover. We've got some more chickweed, more carrots. There's actually no turnips in this bed. There is some wild mustard though. We're letting that go to seed. Once the seeds harden, we're gonna harvest them and try to make our own mustard, or at least make our own mustard powder. More red clover. And these are tomato rows. This is probably what I'm the most excited for. Last year, I think I got like 4 tomatoes out of all 12 tomato plants that I planted. We've got some tomatillos down here that are doing super well. There's a lot of fruit on this one. And this plant doesn't have any fruit on it yet, but there are a ton of flowers, and it's huge. It's way bigger than this plant. We have peas along this side, and then this side has beans along it. My tomatoes really aren't as big as I had hoped, but I just fertilized them yesterday. The stuff that I put on it is the chicken manure, the chicken bedding from the winter that we cleaned out at the beginning of spring, and piled it up. So I shoveled that the other day and put it on these plants. We do have a tomato here. This one, so cute and fuzzy. I don't know if it shows how fuzzy it is, but this is an orange peach tomato. It's supposed to taste kind of orangey and peachy, and it's fuzzy, and it's kind of like a medium-sized orange tomato. We've got some San Marzano down here. Got a couple little tomatoes on it. Those are kind of like a medium-sized tomato. I plan on canning those for the most part. Hi, Liberty. This was the one that I was looking for all spring. I didn't have any seeds. Baker Creek was sold out, but I got a Kellogg's tomato start. I have this one and this little tiny guy. So I'm really, really hoping that those guys pull through. They're doing a lot better than they were since we've been fertilizing. And our spoon tomatoes doing amazing. Look at all those teeny tiny babies. And they don't get a whole lot bigger than this one, so I assume this one will probably be changing colors here soon. And then we have some cilantro. This half of the tomato beds on this side and this side has cilantro, and then the far sides have basil. This bed, this one's crazy. There's a turnip here that went to seed, so we're letting that kind of just spread. I didn't really mind the ground cover of the turnips all over the garden, so that's fine. And then we have some cilantro that's gone to seed. Again, I'm going to let that kind of spread itself. We love cilantro. And looks like there's some dock, some more carrots. We put some big plantain leaf. We put some little strawberries down here, and we actually got fruit. This was just transplanted out of our big strawberry bed. Some shepherd's purse. Lots of medicinal stuff. That looks like poison hemlock. picture of that. Oh, no, it's not. It's not poison hemlock. This is Queen Anne's lace. The queen's legs are hairy. So poison hemlock stems will be not hairy and they'll have purple streaks on them. But Queen Anne's lace is not poisonous. And the legs will be hairy. That's how I remember it. Oops. Now you know. There's a little bit of lettuce. We just haven't pulled it. Honestly, it got so bitter. The last head that I pulled was a little rough. There's some kale. These actually, these are the 1,000-head kale, so they're supposed to get, I think it was like 2 or 3 foot leaves. So they're pretty small, but it's kind of hot for kale, so we'll see if that even really goes. More cilantro. Here's our potato bed. This was our first potato bed. Caleb had the idea to make it into a grid shape. And this was when we had a friend's small tiller that we were borrowing. So it worked a little bit better in his favor. And also, look at how convenient. We can just step in these little squares, not worry about smashing any plants, and we can harvest everything. So we've got potatoes. These are the all blue. They're a beautiful purple potato. Looks like some of them might be ready to harvest soon. When the tops start to die back is usually when you want to harvest them. Same with these onions. We have an onion in between each of the potatoes, and that kind of helps with pests, and it's also just a really good companion plant, so you can make more of the space that you have. Here's the purple potatoes. We pulled some to eat for lunch today. They're still covered in dirt. We haven't washed them off yet, but you can see they're purple on the outside, and then on the inside they're just this like beautiful rich purple color. Purple's my favorite color, so I love these potatoes. And then on the other side of the potatoes, we have our cucumbers. So this row on the right is, hi Liberty. This row on the right is a bush variety of cucumbers, and there's beans in between each of the cucumber plants on both sides. And then this side is the vining cucumbers. The vining cucumbers have quite a few flowers. Looks like the bush cucumbers have a good amount of flowers too, but these actually have some little fruit on them. Sharp little fruit. Tiny little fruits nonetheless. Then this one, my neighbor gave me a green apple cucumber. So I'm really excited to try that. Sounds really good. Over here, I have a couple rows of zucchini. I use the term row here really loosely. This one is like dark and thick. I actually planted this one in early March, maybe mid-March. It was really, really early. I had a ton that I started inside, and zucchini does not need to be started inside. But I put it out here just to see what would happen, and it has frozen, like full frozen, and still looks amazing. It actually just got its first flower, so it's a little bit behind on flowering, but with this much foliage, I think it's going to be a really healthy plant. And then we have some smaller ones over here that have flowers. This is actually 2 plants. This is its own plant, and this is its own plant. This whole row I planted pretty early. It wasn't as early as this big thick one, but I planted the whole row pretty early. And most of them froze for the most part. If it wasn't a hard freeze, it was at least a soft freeze. But they came back. And I stuck a bunch of seeds in here. Cooper actually just ran this one over with the lawnmower, but I stuck some seeds in here because I thought most of them were dead. Thank you. But they were not dead. They came back. So I've also got some toothache plant in here. I want to show you guys a toothache plant flower because they are so pretty. And the camera does not do this justice. It's the prettiest color. Fun fact about toothache plant, if you've never had it before, the flowers have a numbing effect. So you can use the flowers raw by themselves. Caleb tried that the other day. He just wanted to see what it would do. I don't think he knew quite how strong it was. He put it in his mouth and chewed on it for, it was just a few seconds, and his whole mouth went numb. He was drooling like he just left the dentist. It was pretty funny, and it didn't hurt him or anything. It wore off pretty quickly, but I actually used it last year when Carter was teething pretty bad. My neighbor grew some and gave some to me, and I infused it into a coconut oil and put it on his gums, and it really helped with teething. So I'm thinking about making some more. I don't have teething kids right now, but I was thinking about making some for my shop. So if that's something you'd be interested in, definitely let me know and I'll make that for you. Another addition to the garden, not plant related, we got this. It's actually a cattle water trough, but we got it off of Marketplace for a really good deal. The person before us only used it as a pool as well, so it's clean. It's not, we didn't have a lot of heavy cleaning to do on it, just some hard water buildup, but it was a really good deal. It was a whole ordeal to get it to my house. It was about half an hour away, and it was across a fairly busy highway on a Friday during lake season. If you live around Lake of the Ozarks, you know why that was a problem. But it didn't fit on in the bed of the truck, so we put it on the bed of the truck, kind of across. And I got about 7 miles away. I only went about 35 miles an hour, so I was babying it, and it slid off. It slid off into the ditch. Caleb was actually working, and it was just me and the boys, so it was a whole entire fiasco. I somehow managed to pull it out of the ditch and get it back up on the bed, and just as I was trying to secure the straps, it slid off again. But luckily, there was a really nice guy that his wife had driven by and saw me struggling, and she told him that I was there struggling, and he came and helped me. He helped me get it tied back down, helped me get it on there, and he actually offered to let me drop it off at his house so I could come back with a trailer and maybe be prepared before I try to pick up a giant pool. And I was so relieved about that. And then we get there, and he was like, I'll just bring it by your house. You're not that far away. I was about 15 minutes away from his house, but yeah, he so nice. He put it on his trailer and brought it to me the next morning, and definitely saved me a lot of headache. So if you see this, thank you. That's just kind of where we live. That's a big reason that I love where we live. There were several people that drove by me and didn't even slow down, but there are those good people out here, so thank you for that. Here's our strawberry patch. We've got this trellis over the entrance. We've got peas. And then we also have a whole bunch of volunteer beans. We grew some beans on this last year and just kind of let them reseed themselves. And the beans are coming up like crazy. That's what these 3 leaves are. We've also got some beans coming up over here. I put some basil in here. Basil is a really good companion plant for strawberries. We're not getting strawberries right now. Ours are everbearing, so there's everbearing and there's Junebearing, and ours are everbearing, so we get in May, and I think it's September, August, September, that we get some more red clover. Then this is our greenhouse in here. It's really hot. It gets up to, I'd say, like 90 degrees on average. So I'm using it. I have my herb drying rack in there, and then there's some herbs that are hanging up drying, and that's back there in the shade where it's cooler and they're not getting cooked by the sun. They're just drying out. And then over here, so this is new. I just put up this fence. We're going to reinforce it because the goats have already busted a hole there. They busted one of the boards out. A little bit destructive, but we've got lemon balm back here. This is a compost bed that I made out of just everything that I pulled out of over here. There was a big raised box right here full of really good soil. So I took the rotting boards off of it, and it's kind of layered. There was a lot of ragweed that I pulled, so I put ragweed and then boards and then more ragweed on top. And I just kind of water this whenever I water the lemon balm, which is pretty rarely. I think I water like maybe twice a week, if that. And then on this little door over here, I have some birdhouse gourds. They haven't sprouted yet, but we're hoping to maybe make like some little bowls and birdhouses and stuff like that out of it. Here's our piggies. They're getting so big. Here comes Boris. We've got Marigold is the youngest, Beulah is the oldest, and then Boris, our boar, is about a month in between the two of them. And then we put our meat turkey out here, and we have a rooster that volunteered himself out here. Can I help you? You're so loud. Hi, Pretty. She does a really good job guarding the sheep, even if she's guarding the sheep from me petting them. Hi, piggies. Hi, Boris. He's the sweetest out of all of them, surprisingly. So I don't think I've ever showed you guys this on our channel before, but this is the spot where our house used to be. So long story short, about a little over a year ago now, we saw our floor, the laminate flooring that we had on top was starting to kind of bulge and get a wave in it, and it just got really bad really fast. Within a week, it went from like the floor is a little raised right here to it was big waves in our floor. So we figured out what happened. It was a modular home, and if you don't know, it's kind of a prefabricated home that they truck in, and it was in two halves, and they just kind of put the halves together. But this is what was underneath it, and right over here behind me, I'm going to show you guys this spot right here. It has a really deep dip, and that's where the mold was the worst, and I think that's where the water collected and then evaporated up into the floor, and it just molded out the whole subfloor, inside the walls, inside all of the cabinets in the kitchen and the bathrooms. Everything was molded. So it would have been more expensive to fix it than the house itself is worth. So we ended up having it trucked out, and our current plan, we've changed plans quite a few times. Had some trouble getting a house built over the last year, but our current plan is to build a kit house right here. It's going to be really cool. We're going to have a 40-foot long porch. It's going to be beautiful. We designed it ourselves. We're going to play a big part in building it. A lot of it is going to be done ourselves. We do have a contractor helping us with stuff like the concrete and the actual structure of the house, roofing, stuff like that. But we plan to do a lot of it ourselves, and we are really hoping, fingers crossed, that this Monday in 3 days, that we will hopefully get started, roughen the plumbing, get some concrete laid, and then after that, I expect it to move fairly quickly. I don't want to have too high of expectations, but hopefully it will at least be livable. We're hoping that we can live in there, move in there by November, because tiny home living with two very young little rambunctious feral boys it's a challenge. It's interesting. We'll leave it at that. So thanks for coming along with me today. I appreciate all of you guys who watch and comment, and yeah, so I hope you guys have a good day. And just a reminder, I will be at the Morgan County Farmers Market this Saturday, June 17th, I believe is the date, from 9 a.m. until noon. And then next Saturday, June 24th, I will be at the new Stover Downtown Market, and that is from 9 a.m. until 2. So I look forward to seeing everybody.